Let's say I want to clear up my calendar and I'm like, Mark, I'm drowning in meetings. Where would you suggest I even get started?
Just delete half of them.
Just pick any half?
Look, if you want the aggressive way, yeah, pick half, randomly kill them. After a month, if you're like, man, I really need that meeting because things have kind of broken. That system's no longer working. Okay, now we need to put that meeting back.
This podcast is brought to you by Hey Taco, the only peer-to-peer recognition platform that uses tacos to help teams around the world share gratitude. I'm Doug.
I'm Una.
This is our podcast, Amazing Teams. Hey everyone, welcome to season 3 of the Amazing Teams podcast, where we explore all things that make work better. Today, we are excited to be joined by Marc Cenedella, the CEO of The Ladders. Marc, welcome to the Amazing Teams podcast.
Thanks so much. This is great to be chatting with you.
Of course. Tell us a little bit about The Ladders.
Yeah, so started Ladders a little over 20 years ago. We were started to focus on helping people in the high-end job search, jobs to pay 100 grand a year or more. I'd previously been a member of the senior team at hotjobs.com, which
Wow, you're going way back.
long time ago, was the number 2 job board behind Monster. And we sold the business to Yahoo in 2002 for $500 million. When $500 million was really, that was a lot of money at one point. It isn't any longer, right? And I loved online recruiting, looked at it a couple different ways to stay in it. I actually looked at doing hourly jobs and also looked at doing 100K plus jobs. Both sides interested me, but 100K ended up being a little bit more interesting. And so started Ladders 20 years ago. And we have the dubious distinction of being America's oldest Series A company. Raised a Series A, never raised a Series B, never sold, never went bankrupt, never went out of business, never went public. So we're America's oldest Series A business, and we're a profitable business, and helping millions of customers find their next great gig in life.
That's incredible. And can you give us a little idea of the size of the company, like how many people are you, and also are you remote? Are you in office?
Yeah, so we're 130 people. We were 0% remote before the pandemic, and we are 100% remote since the pandemic, and we'll be remote from now on.
Not going back, are you?
Not going back.
Mark, when we were prepping for the podcast, you said before the pandemic, if someone said, I want to work from home every, fifth Friday, and they lived in New Jersey, like, no way in hell. We can't do that.
And all of us, I think, went through a very interesting kind of learning in 2020, 2021 about, both managers and employees, about focusing on the output and the measurable output rather than, button seat. And that has certainly been the case for us, been the case for a lot of companies. Even with the return to office, I just think the level to which we're all focused on output and success now, perhaps with your weekly email, what did you get done this week, is in the news. That has really changed how American work, anyway, is done.
Would you go back to being full-time in the office 5 days a week? Or are you a convert to remote work?
Remote is terrific in so many ways. The area where it's lacking and not perfect, and that we spend a lot of time being thoughtful about, and you haven't solved it yet, is the human bond. Breaking bread is always important. Innovation is tougher in a remote environment. Part of innovation is just sitting around and having some wasted time. And online meetings are, tend to be very efficient. They're not that enjoyable to waste time on. And sometimes innovation comes from goofing around and not really being super on point all the time. And so I haven't quite figured that out. So we're doing quarterly, offsite get-togethers. We've tried to find a way to do something, in the middle between those quarterly offsites. That hasn't quite worked yet. But like a lot of people, we're trying to figure it out. In net, the benefits outweigh the costs.
That makes sense. So, our season 3 of the podcast, we're focusing on ways to make work better. And I feel like there's probably no one better than you to ask that question: what makes work better?
Maybe I might be. Well, I'm either the best or the worst because I help people once they've given up and trying to make work better where they currently are, and they're looking to go to the next thing. When we survey people, it's interesting. 25% of people do say, "Hey, look, what I'm looking for is more cash."
Okay.
75% say something else, right? I want more meaning in my job. I want a better mentor. I want better, career growth. If they do have a commute, I want a shorter commute. I want to work in a different industry. And so, for the individual, and we work for the consumer. So, job seekers pay us. It's $50 a month, $300 a year, to help you in your job search. We, unlike everybody else who kind of really works for the employer. So our bread is always buttered by the professional. And so we're always focused on how can we make the professional's life better. And so the things that drive people away from companies are those dissatisfiers. And they tend to be more what you call intrinsic rewards rather than extrinsic. A portion are extrinsic. I want to get paid more, but a lot of it's intrinsic, meaning, culture, fit, value, variety.
It's so interesting because a lot of times we think that everyone's coin operated, right? It's like a general common assumption. And yet you're saying that 75% of people in the high paying jobs, people that are your customers, switch for reasons other than cash.
Yeah, it's true.
When you and I talked about this podcast and I asked you what makes work better, you had a very short answer, but that unpacks a lot. You said kill meetings. And we're
Yeah,
recording
yeah,
this
yeah.
podcast on a Monday, which there's a reason for why we're recording it on a Monday versus any other day of the week.
Yeah.
So, can you tell us more about your meeting principles and philosophies?
Look, and this varies for everybody. For me personally, though, for a lot of folks who are in some type of role, creating things or building things, just meetings are killers. It sucks up time, eats up energy, and doesn't earn its keep in terms of the time used for the output created. An extraordinarily influential thing for me, and I think for a lot of folks, has been Paul Graham's blog post, Make Your Schedule, Manage Your Schedule. And that was a lightning bolt out of the blue for me and it explained me to me in a way that I'd not experienced before. And so as a result, I've now kind of I try to keep meetings on only 2 days a week. So for me, this quarter this year, it happens to be Monday and Friday. So I appreciate you guys making time for us to meet here on Monday. And the rest of the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I've got no scheduled meetings at all, and just focus on, hey, what can I build? What can I create? That doesn't work for people in client service businesses. It doesn't work for people who are managing, 10 people who are managing 200 people. A lot of folks it doesn't work for, but for those of us who are trying to build something or do something innovative, that time to think and have a half hour where you aren't being super efficient and super productive, but that your subconscious, wheels are turning is super important.
Interesting.
I'm so curious. What do you do with the 3 days a week? Because you are the CEO, so you manage.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that report to you.
Look, we use Linear, which is a work tracking tool. I've got my issues. Okay, build. Right now I'm working a lot on building better AI customized resumes. So we've built the best tool for creating an AI resume. Now what we're working on is, hey, for a job application, can I customize that resume to that job application? It's very tricky with AI getting it to do. You can get it to do 80% of what you want it to do pretty easily, but particularly when it comes to resumes or people's presentation of themselves professionally, they really need it to be like 98, 99%. And so I'm spending those Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays on getting that just exactly perfect so that we can release that to our customers.
I'm curious what an AI resume is. That sounds it's
Just AI written. So we take so a lot of people don't understand what resumes are and how they work because look, they only really touch it every 4 years. And I've written a couple Amazon careers #1 bestsellers on resume writing. to discuss this. And so we're asked, hey, write a written document about yourself. Well, what does that mean to me? Does it mean that's my bio? Is it, my life history? Is it my transcript? And it's none of those things. A resume is an advertisement to get you an interview for a job that you'd accept. And those are, important things. It's an advertisement, and advertisements don't lump in everything that, you ever did, or it's not, all single space text. An advertisement is meant to kind of give an impression of who you are and what you can do. And so a lot of people come to the resume process with trepidation and worry, and really a lack of information about how it really works. So an AI written resume is, you give us a bunch of information, we produce for you with AI something that's probably it's a B plus A minus resume for you. Still today, the things that are a little bit off, sometimes the wording can be a little bit off. I mean, grammatically correct, but not how it's currently said in 2025, North American business lingo. And length can be a little bit variable between 1.5 and 2.5 pages from the AI driven side. And then we offer a human written resume that will trim all that and get that really perfect for you. So that's what AI written resume is. And I'm spending a lot of my time thinking about that. Now, what we're trying to do is, okay, so I'm a director of logistics. I'm applying to a senior logistics job at Target, Minnesota. Let's take the keywords out of that resume and make sure that they're present in your, take keywords out of that job listing, make sure they're present in your resume and cover letter so that you're putting your best foot forward. And it's tremendous fun. But like I said, AI is easy to get the first 80% right. Getting to that 98, 99% is that's the tough and enjoyable part of it.
That makes sense. Now, I assume now that we have AI helping people write resumes, that we probably also have AI that's helping find those resumes. Is that right? Or go through them?
Not as much as you think. I mean, if you think about the dozen best recruiters in HR, people you've known in your life, and then think about if they had a choice between talking to somebody or typing into a keyboard, which would they prefer?
Yeah.
And it's 100% of the time it's they'd rather talk to people because they went into HR recruiting because they like talking to people. Yeah. And so doing like advanced keyword search and the type of stuff, that's not really what gets them excited to go to work in the morning. They like talking to people. And so the concept that AI will take over recruiting is really just simply not true. Take over parts of it, make people more, efficient at it. Yes, but at the end of the day, getting somebody excited about a role is something that a human being has to do. You just think that if you had 12 or 24 or 106 different AIs reaching out to you and say, please look at my job, you'd be like, I don't really know if I'm going to listen to this AI and spend my time on looking at the job that the AI wants me to talk to, or, hey, look at this candidate. Instead, what still there's a role for is that human to human connection to say, I understand you, you understand me. I hear what you're going for. Why don't you look at this thing?
Got it. Now, I have one more question around resumes. As we all know, there's a lot of people getting laid off right now. In fact, I have some close friends and family that have been impacted by some of these layoffs, government layoffs. Any tips from you that could help these people that are all coming into the same place, looking for jobs at the same time? It's going to be hard to stand out, right? Any ideas around standing out, getting your resume seen?
Yeah, look, the two things you gotta understand are nobody wants to read, and nobody understands what you did day to day. People love writing these intro paragraphs. Nobody likes reading them. So the more that you can get rid of that intro paragraph in your resume and turn it into 2 or 3 word bullet points, the better off you're going to be. What I tell people, we've done this famous research that we've redone and time and again, is at first pass, recruiters look at your resume for 6 seconds. And that's it. It's 6 seconds. It's not 6 minutes. And what I tell people is like, look, that is less time than you spend reading a billboard driving by on the highway. And the second thing is, look, I understand that you know what you did every day and you're very familiar with it. Your stranger that you're trying to get hired by has no idea. The easiest way to convey to somebody what it is that you did day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year is numbers. use numbers. Created 138 meeting requests, reduced expenses 17%, increased engagement by 32%. The more that you can explain numbers around what it is that you accomplished, the easier it is for that stranger to have an image in their head of what you do. I've been giving this advice for 20 years, and inevitably somebody in the audience will say, well, but that's very nice for other fields that are very measurable, but my field is not measurable. And I can guarantee you something. Every job on this planet and every job in the United States is measurable. My third bit of advice is get rid of the goofy email. We do 100K plus. And even today, if we went through and we looked at the last 100 people that signed up on ladders, inevitably there's golf fan 2025 at Gmail. Hot stuff skier.
Your high school email address.
Breckenridge. And and you're putting this on your resume.
Yeah.
Please get a professional email. Would be my third little bit of advice.
That's hilarious.
Mark, I feel like this could have been a great session in the Ladders career cab.
Oh, there we go. That was fun.
We dug that up, and I'm so curious. Why did you stop it? And what preceded what? Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee or the Ladders career cab?
I guess we were before. That was fun. That was 2010, 2011. And we were clipping GoPros in the back of an actual New York taxi that we rented for the day. A lot of fun. Interestingly, the guy who played the CFO on Dunder Mifflin, we hired to kind of be goofy with us that day. And I think, if I recall correctly, his day job he had been a stockbroker. He got into acting in Southern California, got into acting, and then was like the perfect CFO character. Not the guy who was Sneed, but the guy who came before him. I'm just going to have to look it up while I'm on here. And David Wallace, who was portrayed by Andy Buckley. And so he came in and he listened to us a little bit. He would talk to me a little bit, and then he just riffed, improv in the back of the cab. I was in stitches the entire time. I could barely get questions out because he was just staying in his character and just such a funny guy. So it was a lot of fun giving advice in the back of a New York City taxi cab.
Are there videos of this that I've missed?
Yeah, it's all online. It's all online.
Oh, Doug, you just gotta look for it. Those are great. Truly looked at. I was like, oh, this is Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee before Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee.
Okay, but that's a great show.
That is a great show. Well, now we know where Jerry got his inspiration, Mark. So
I don't think that's the case, but it was fun. It was definitely fun.
Okay, Mark, I want to come back to this topic of meetings for a second, and I want to ask you,
Yes.
how does that translate into your team? You have the team all over the world. Is everyone doing less meetings?
Yeah, so we are all over the world. Got a lot of folks over in Europe, and so what's that has meant is, in addition, most of our meetings are between 9 and 12 Eastern, right? And because it gets pretty late in Poland and Romania, and so our team meetings that have lots of people from different parts of the team end up being between 9 and 12, and that forces you to be more asynchronous, which is a lot more written communication, a lot more documentation. And then the meeting time is used for, hey, we've been through this 2 or max 3 times in some written form, and we're not getting it. And so let's talk about it live. Tend to be that's how decisions are pushed into meetings. If we can solve it without a meeting, it's better. It's always better. And so probably it feels to me like 80% of our issues are kind of solved just by writing. Asynchronous. I type my stuff in at 9 in the morning. Somebody else types it in at 10 at night. We kind of read back and forth and either agree or don't agree.
How do you teach that to people who just joined the team? And they probably measure their productivity and how many meetings they have on their calendar, right? Not everyone, but some people.
Yeah, you're not. If that's we don't. First off, we don't hire that, and then second, if that's really what you enjoy, you're very quickly not going to enjoy your time at Ladders. Mm-hmm. Really, just focused on output.
Let's say I want to clear up my calendar and I'm like, Mark, I'm drowning in meetings. Where would you suggest I even get started?
Just delete half of them.
Just pick any half?
Look, if you want the aggressive way, yeah, pick half, randomly kill them. After a month, if you're like, man, I really need that meeting because things have kind of broken. That system's no longer working. Okay, now we need to put that meeting back. So me personally, I all my recurring meetings, they all end, repeat weekly till whenever. I always set the end date for 2 quarters out. It goes away. And if after a couple of weeks, a lot of people are complaining we need that meeting back, then we'll bring that meeting back. But otherwise, no. Not a lot of great work gets done in meetings. So, some great coordination work gets done in meetings. Look, probably 3, 4 hours a meeting a week is enough for most folks. Uh, Not more than that. Now, again, I work at a 130-person company. That's different from, and a lot of my customers work at 130,000-person companies. And
Mhm.
so I've got something that works for me and for us. It's just that's not realistic if you're working at Procter and Gamble or JP Morgan Chase. I'm certain. Um,
Well, and if you're a manager, as you said, like you have to just acknowledge you're either on a manager schedule where your work gets done in one-on-one
yeah,
meetings or managing projects, and then
yeah,
that's just your work, right? Or if
yeah,
you're a maker, then your work does not get done in
yeah.
meetings.
So look, I tried to so Jensen Huang, Nvidia,
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
stock market superstar, was talking a lot. I was reading a lot about him, and he doesn't have one-on-ones. So I killed my one-on-ones this year.
Wow.
And we're now at the beginning. We got to the end of February, and I was like, yeah, I think we need to bring those back. Right? It definitely felt, all the team felt it. I felt it. And so, look, I tried it for 2 months. We
Yeah.
all learned something. All right. You need one-on-ones. Great.
What was the big thing missing? What was the void?
So, look, a team meeting across the team. All right. Hey, here's what we're all trying to do. Converting that into translating that into what does that mean for marketing? What does that mean for tech? What does that mean for operations? Thinking about some of the rough edges of how that works, syncing up and making sure that we kind of agree on how those edges meet up. That's what was missing.
Did you replace the one-on-ones with something else, or did you just totally get rid of them? And
By one unit increased the number of team meetings, but it did, like I said, it didn't work. So good, nice experiment. Rolling back the other way.
got it. So it created more meetings.
Well, look, I mean, I got rid of X number of one-on-ones and replaced it with one team meeting. So for all of us, it was a net time in meeting reduction, but that did not turn out to be an efficient use of time.
How did you know it wasn't working?
Well, I guess that's just business judgment, right?
Mhm.
The guys felt on the team felt it. I felt it.
Mhm.
Like a gut feeling, this isn't working.
Yeah, just you observe the areas where, that particular issue, this is now the third, we're having more issues that kind of go through 3 rounds of online feedback or asynchronous written feedback. Maybe we wouldn't have quite so many of these if we were, syncing up and getting aligned a little bit more. So, it's just, if management is a fun experiment. I don't know if anybody good at it ever has said that they've solved it. So it's just an experiment. You got to try different ways, see what works for you. Be willing to talk out loud about what's working and what isn't.
I'm not even sure if there's a solution, right? It's
There's
not a
not.
math problem. With humans, there's a lot of different
Yeah.
ways you can slice and dice it.
Look, the entire consultant industry, if you want to be slightly cynical about it, is you hire them and they come in and they tell you, well, look, you really got to centralize your business. And then 5 years later, you hire them back and they're like, you got to decentralize the business. And that's those are so it's a little bit of a cynical way to view it, but like as a business, hey, sometimes you centralize and you're like, okay, we're getting the benefits of centralizing. We're learning something. We're developing those muscles. We're losing the muscles from decentralizing. And so sometimes just flipping back and forth and getting
Mhm.
the benefits and observing the downsides of both are great.
Mark, when you and I chatted, what was it, a couple weeks ago? I can't remember. But at the end of our prep call, you're like, "Wait, are we gonna talk about gratitude? Like, well, what about gratitude?" So I'm like, I feel like this is now your turn to lead the podcast. You're like, "Can we talk
Yeah.
about gratitude?" What did you want to talk about gratitude?
I find tacos. I know you don't want to, sell from the stage here, but I'm allowed to. Tacos is an amazing product that I've loved. And Doug, I reached out to you several years ago because we had just such a wonderful experience with it. And I think it's 6 or 7 years ago that we started. And it was a top-down thing. Somebody has to install it. My CTO installed it. But like it has just taken off inside of the company. And like, we've got this channel, this general channel that all the tacos go into, and it's just become this thing that honestly is one of the easiest things for people to pick up. What's a taco thing? Oh, when you do something, you give somebody else something. And it's a wonderful manifestation, and I want to say makes physical, but obviously it's not physical because it's in Slack, right? But it makes explicit gratitude that people feel to each other each day. And it's, I'm sure for an in-office team, but we mostly have experience with a remote team. It's just a wonderful way for teams to kind of grease the wheels and just say those appreciations and gratitudes in a very non-obtrusive, non-cringy, fun, slightly goofy, which always makes it a little bit better way. And so, love the product. I love what it's taught our team about gratitude. And I love how gratitude has become something that's now it's the team owns and they do. And if I tried to take away tacos, which I would never do, but if I ever we tried to take away tacos, like there'd be an uproar. Like, what do you mean? This is how we say thank you. How it's like it's more right. It's how people feel about it in a way that they don't feel about our business expenses or about our payroll provider. So it's very interesting kind of emotional connection that people have to this SaaS product. So kind of wild. So I'm as somebody who's interested in work and interested in careers, I've been fascinated by that emotional connection that the product has created for our team.
That's awesome. I remember you sent me a message to LinkedIn and I was like, he gets it. He understands. Hey, Taco, he gets it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was early. That was, 6, 7 years ago. So
It's fun.
I love, Mark, that you use the word gratitude. People,
Yeah.
use recognition, appreciation. I'm curious of your word choice. Why gratitude over appreciation and recognition?
So I thought about that after we chatted, and on reflection, where it comes from is Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. And I don't know if you ever read it, but it's his, the Roman emperor
Mhm.
who gets offed by Commodus in a Gladiator movie, and he was the philosopher king, and he wrote on, the Stoic philosophy and whatnot. But interestingly, that book, Meditations, he starts off with thanking 26 people in his life. And there's really no other work of philosophy, there's no other autobiography in history that quite has this kickoff the way Marcus Aurelius meditation does. He thanks his grandfather for giving an example of good morals and good temper. He thanks his mother for teaching him piety and simplicity in living. And it goes through, the guy who taught him grammar. He goes through all these different people thanking them from his position as emperor for the things that they did to teach him to become the man that he was. And given that he was a type of namesake for me, Marcus Aurelius, Mark.
Mhm.
As a result, I named my daughter Aurelia.
Awesome.
Right. So I've always had kind of this connection to this book, and that lesson that he taught. I guess he meant to teach, but like it really had resonated with me my whole life. And that showing of gratitude before the ego, before the success, before, look on my mighty works and see how awesome I am is a phenomenal one for everybody, right? Because all of us here, there was some third grade teacher that helped us out. There was some sports coach that made us a little bit better than we would have been otherwise. There was even some ex that we don't want to admit it improved who we were, even though we didn't like it at the time. Right there, there's a couple people in his list of gratitude that he doesn't like them, and it's known that he doesn't like them, but he still thanks them. And so that teaching of gratitude is from Marcus Aurelius is something that is a wonderful example, and it's good for one to do to others. It's even better for what it does to you yourself.
Yep.
And, I'm not going to get too cheesy or cringy here on you, but there's something about tacos that kind of manifests that. And if we want to if we wanted to spend some philosophical time about who is tacos the best for, hey, taco the best for, the giver or the receiver, one could spend a lot of time thinking about that.
Absolutely. This sometimes keeps me up at night.
And I feel like the appreciation and recognition are for the receiver, right? That's how the receiver feels. They feel appreciated, they feel recognized.
Yeah.
But I feel gratitude. And it's for the other person, but it could be for the sun
Yeah.
rising today, right? It could be
Yeah.
for a warm cup of coffee, doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
But that's the feeling for the person that's taking the action.
Yeah. It's good stuff. There's one of the few SaaS products or, you know, company, paid products that really, there are profound philosophical implications about it. Like there's deep meaning. So, what a fascinating little wonderful segment of the economy that you guys have kind of created and find yourselves in.
Well, that was Doug all on his maker's schedule in the
There you
wee
go.
hours of the night. Definitely didn't get done in meetings, right,
Yes.
Doug?
Definitely
Yes.
not.
Yeah.
Definitely not. Well, Marc, thank you for coming on our podcast. I appreciate you coming on, sharing your wisdom. I appreciate all of your support over the years. But before we let you go, we have a little ritual on this podcast where we ask you, who are you giving your 5 tacos to today and why?
Who am I giving? Am I allowed to give some to you guys? You're not in my Slack.
It can be anyone in your
I
life, but
would.
not to us. We can't receive tacos. That's it.
Well, if I had a 6th and 7th, there are those days that you really need the 6th or 7th. You guys can probably sell power ups for like, I want one more taco today. That's probably completely contrary to the spirit of it, but so look, I mean, today I've been in meetings all day, so it just have to be with people I've been in meetings with, because I've been able to interact with a lot of folks on other stuff, and so it'd be executive team members for. We had our board meeting on Friday, and they did phenomenal job, and had a kind of follow up meetings today, and so thanking them for their hard work going into that, and then kind of the tough work ahead.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you so very much. Really appreciate it. I have tremendous gratitude for spending this time with you, and greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Marc. Thanks for listening. One of the important things about building a team is gratitude. If you're looking to add more gratitude into your team, check out heytaco.com. We are clearly biased, but it really does work. Use the code AMAZINGTEAMS to receive 15% off for the first 3 months of your subscription.